Good evening, everybody. Hopefully I'm online and you can all hear and see me nice and clearly and loudly. Today's date is November the 12th, 2020, and my name's Christopher James, and I'm so grateful for everyone being here this evening. We have a lot of great information to cover here this evening, so there should not be ever a dull moment. And I just wanted to say again, thank you everybody for all your support from last week's show and prior and up to today. It's much appreciated. People are really starting to come together now, and we're bringing this truth forward into this world. And I'm just very blessed to have this kind of support right now. And as everybody should know, but before I get started here, I wanted to make an apology to Amanda. I was supposed to do an interview with a wonderful woman tonight who's a doctorate of naturopathic medicine and science. And unfortunately, I had got what happened with today with YouTube, what we'll talk about in a second, that, and then a lot of other court issues that were ongoing or whatever, it completely got away from me. So I apologize, Amanda, but we will do our call very soon, hopefully next week. But this evening, I hope you can understand that it's been a very interesting day today. What happened that I knew was going to happen, happened, and YouTube pulled my channel, and it was all because of the Dolores Cahill video that I put up. Or pardon me, no, it was the 48 the multiple doctors that came forward and brought truth. Again, one of those videos that have been up for several months. So they've pulled the channel down. It's gone for good now on YouTube, and that's fine with me because my material is up on BitChute. If you're not aware, go to awarriorcalls.com and log in there. Actually, pardon me, subscribe there so that you're going to be kept up to date. That puts you in our back-end database so that you'll hear when all these live streams are coming out, when actions are happening with Earth United, which I apologize, I meant to put in my mail out today, was the link for the red pill that Jesse Casanova's just released. You can find that on Earth United's website, and it's about 11 minutes long, and it's actually a beautiful piece of work that he's put together as part of all these productions and stuff that they're rolling out. And then next week we've got just an incredible one that's coming, and then the week after that, well, that's the real big one. Okay, it's going to be a real big one that we launch. So everything is coordinated and calculated what we're doing at this end. For those of you that are the first time here, do not know who I am, the long and the short of it is my name's Christopher James, and I'm a man who has a very incredible secret that was a secret that I brought forward into the light that is a simple truth that's going to save our world right here and right now. That's why I'm here, and I'm not playing any games. And I've picked a fight actually at a very good time with, how shall we say, the very heart of this system. And it's only one conversation our world has to have right now, and that is, do the rules of civil procedure apply to we the people? That's it. You don't need to understand law. You don't need to understand legal. You just simply need to understand that simple question. Why? Because people in this world that are trying to access our public courthouses, we're being denied access because we are not falling under the rules of civil procedure, okay, with our filings that we put in, which is our property into public courthouse. So it's that simple that's going right on what's occurring in this world right now. The solution is actually that very one truth that once it's answered and brought out into the light, everything else will stop. Why? Because people like myself and other people that have incredible truths that's backed up, verified, and they know that there's other people that are trespassing against we the people on a colossal level. All right, things are being placed in the media. People are speaking without any type of repercussions. It's whoops, I got that's Mark in there right now. Oh, how does that go out? You able to kick? Sorry about that. Thanks, thank you very much. Thanks, Mark. I'll bring Mac. I'll bring you in just a sec, brother. Credible man. I'm going to bring on here shortly here tonight. If you can just mute your mic too, there, Mac, just so, and then I'll call you in a little bit, my friend. So, incredible thing we've got to show you here this evening that's going on right now, real time. This is what I've been working for over 20 years, and just how everything has succinctly come together over the last year and a half has just been truly incredible. And, I'm reminded so many time and time again that nothing ever happens by accident. Okay. Everything that's going on in this world happens for a reason. So it's very powerful, this moment and this truth in which I'm bringing forward to you, because it's in the here and now. Okay, we're not talking about scenarios that may unfold, may not unfold. We're not talking about, the color of drapes that I like, or not that I'm, into Art Deco or whatever, or couch or car or whatever. These are concrete, hard facts that we're discussing here. Okay, there's no opinions that are coming forth from me this evening to you. Okay, and this truth is the most powerful truth in this world right now, because it is so simple that when people simply understand that people that have truths to stop all this wrong and harm that's occurring right now surrounding COVID are being blocked at our public courthouses, because their filings, for some reason, their paperwork, their evidence isn't falling under some rules of civil procedure. And as I've shown in the shows past, it's simply who writes the rules of civil procedure. Go to last week's show and the week before that. I've actually shown you the downloads, especially from my website, from the November 6th. It's under the case file. Once you're inside the site, case file number 2. It's the Sukleski Court. And when you hover down over the case file number 2, another window will come out to the side, November 6th. Okay, please download all of those documents. Then you will simply understand what has occurred. And like I said, the evidence is right in there. Who writes the rules of civil procedure? And unless we are property of another man or woman, it doesn't apply to us, right? The truth is very simple when it's present. So take this one to heart. Not a single piece of paper that exists in this world, it doesn't matter who wrote it, okay, applies to you. Unless you had full consent of it, unless you wrote it yourself or your wet signatures on it, some sort of a contract. Otherwise, they're words on a paper. And no theater that is out before you here today, okay, should ever, put that back up again. No theater should ever get in the way of what is actually and factually truth. Okay, and this is what we have going on right now, is that we've taken all this acting that's going on in this world, we've taken it beyond the pale where it should have ever have gone. And that's why, because we're not having a conversation that we should have always had for a very long time here. And, it's come to a head right now. So what we're going to do this evening is I just wanted to first do a quick recap for everybody. So I didn't touch on last week with what happened with Sean at SGT Report. 750,000 subscribers, YouTube subscribers. He had no strikes against him. And then all of a sudden, boom, YouTube pulls him down, and 13 or 14 other top YouTube people as well that were out there. Another sister of mine here in Canada. I've never met her, talked to before, but Amazing Polly, I think, was the name of her YouTube channel. Incredible woman. Hopefully I'll get to talk to her in the near future. She did incredible work to bringing truth forward from people. But what we all required at that time with all this truth, like a woman like Polly has, is imagine if she had access to that public courthouse to move a claim with evidence that she knew was true from her research that she's done, no different than me. Okay, and you're bringing it into court of law. Well, we're both held accountable. If we bring something into that public courthouse and it's not straight up, straight on, okay, then we've got a problem here. So this is why it's very important that everybody understands that the whole thing comes down to one simple thing. And all this acting that's going on, we already know that we're not another man or woman's property. Everybody understands that simply. We already know that no man or woman can administrate property without right. We know that. And there's that word property again. And then there's the third line, right? Obligation. That means contract, okay? Makes whatever condition is between you, whatever agreement arrangements between you and your fellow man and woman. Right? But again, words on a piece of paper that are created by service corporations. What's a service corporation, Chris? Well, the government of Ontario, the government of Britain, right? Canada, Britain, USA Inc., right? There's different variations of it, especially for the United States over the years, not so much for other countries. But, Australia, all of these are corporate entities, right? And so you have people that work for these corporations that are supposed to be providing good faith services to us, right? It's really simple to understand. And these people actually are your fellow man and woman, right? So are they going to come forward and claim your property? We've gone through this, right? These three main key points are never going to occur. So that means nothing that they're doing within that service corporation is being like no different than McDonald's, Burger King, Pizza Hut, whatever we have there. Notice it's all food I'm talking about. Like I said, that was my sole sustenance for 20 years. Not that type of food, but that was my highlight when I got to come out of my layer, so to speak, and treat myself to some not so healthy food. But anyways, what's going on here is you have to look at it. It's no different than the people that work for these corporations that are providing services. Just happens to be in the food industry, right? Okay, we're talking about government services now, right? They're supposed to be a lot higher level because they're supposed to be there acting on behalf of we the people, especially when we're paying for their salaries, which is kind of a weird scenario how a corporation could just get a blanket check on something like that, to charge us for all this money. But what's ultimately happening here is that these people are also ignorant that are within these ranks. No different than I was ignorant, okay? No different than all of us are ignorant. We're all on different levels within this level of consciousness right now as this horrific truth, the horrific lie that's been foisted upon mankind, our consciousness. It's only causing all the effects that we're seeing around this world because mankind simply lacks knowledge, okay? And I'm only in this position, as those of you know, you can go back and watch my shows, how I got to be here, my sharings, my gatherings. They're not shows. I'm not doing this for entertainment purposes. I'm doing this to save our world right now because these simple truths that I'm explaining to you should be resonating with each and every one of you at home there, okay? Wherever you're listening and hearing to this, right? We're talking about very foundational truths that affect you and I as a man or woman, okay? And we have people that are supposed to be acting honorably in all these various capacities, and they're not. What they're actually doing is they're trespassing against us left and right. Why? Because we've all been ignorant. We've all been born into this world in ignorance, and most of us have left this world ignorant. But I was fortunate enough to come across this truth, and that's why this truth is now being brought forward. And it's those rules of civil procedure, right? Anybody can have a conversation on that. They just can simply understand, well, wait a minute, my fellow man, everyone has the right to access that public courthouse, and they know no man or woman can deny another man or woman access to it. that especially means the people that are acting in that courthouse, that are wearing the black robes or police uniforms or their front end office staff, right? These people are acting in roles. They're providing service to us. They can't block us from getting access to these public courthouses. And this is what has ultimately come down through my material that I've showed everybody in my filings under the Zakleski Court that Michael and I have been going through in real time, which I'm going to do an update up here with everybody right now on. So, sorry, I got off a little bit the topic there, but what happened with Sergeant or Report or whatever, God bless him, is that when all that went down, they hired a lawyer, $130,000 later, okay? But that's what they required for all the filings that she was going to put in, and she took on Google for their terms of service. So we'll fast forward to that Monday. What happened on that Monday? Well, what a shit show. What actually happened was that in all typical use of a Zoom call, it limits it for a guy like me too, right? Little old me, to 100 people on a call. If I was to use Zoom, you can buy packages, I think, that allows you a little bit more. But anyways, long and short of it is that when people went to log in, it said it's already reached its 100 limit capacity. Sean himself couldn't even get into the court. Okay. Then he told me that the lawyers Google were also having trouble getting into the court because probably there was two links, right? There were people that were able to click on the link to supposedly get in the gallery, right? To listen in on this. You couldn't comment or anything, but you could listen. And then there was another link that was for the people that were actually parties involved. So I guess what happened was, which actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't have time to think of it, I just brushed it off. But now that I'm sitting here, it said those that are party to the case, right? There was another link, meaning the lawyers, the actual parties that were named in the thing. But the overall case was about we the people in Google, right? Ultimately, and what they were doing with YouTube and shutting down all these channels. Imagine Sean, the guy he was incredibly devastated, right? 10 years of his work, 10 years, right? That's what he based all his work on. That was his revenue income stream. And then they canceled Patreon the week later for no reason at all, right? So this is why this lawsuit got launched. What happened in the court that day, and the long and the short of it is that I was told that, it was not very nice for his lawyer that was in there, but it seemed to be very nice for Google's lawyers at this time. And what's going on right now is I believe the woman that they brought this complaint to, right, surrounding this breach of terms of service, she's gone back now to render her decision. And I truly believe that the lawyer on the legal side, they have won this outright. What they filed and what they've put into that legal realm. They've destroyed absolutely what is going on here. So, if we were able to bring it into the courthouse and to the lawful realm, like a man or a woman, I'd have to say that these people would be in a lot of trouble. Because those of us, especially people like Sean that are armed with such knowledge from their incredible research. And again, he has a website you definitely go to, sgtreport.com. There you can see any videos he's going to do when he's still doing stuff. He puts them up there. Incredible reporting, real time on the button. I love you to death, Sean, for everything that you're doing. You've been an incredible light to this world. And, you're someone that definitely needs to have that access to that public courthouse because you will be able to take your knowledge and your levels and your contribution back, what has been driving you all this time, which I truly see from you in this light like never before. And that's what this is about. It's about bringing a very powerful truth forward that those rules of civil procedure don't apply to us. And I think you can get every single man and woman very quickly educated on, nobody can block us from the courthouse. And there's people we're now hearing about that have truths that are being blocked. And this is why they're being blocked. Now, people can't say, oh, that's all conspiracy series stuff. Really? Well, all of you are going to be able to point them to my casework, aren't you? Right? You're going to be able to point to the last videos that I've had out there. This has all been done on the public record. This is why I did it. This is why I said I set out to not fail. I've learned through all my multiple times getting kicked around in this system, how this system chews you up, how it chews you down. And the power is knowing who you are and then understanding, standing outside of that system, how their system works, how you're supposed to properly and lawfully access it. And it all came down to the one question, right? Rules of civil procedure. So that's what you have to be putting to every MPP, every, politician, every police officer. You just simply say to them, there's a man, you can even say my name, who's coming forward, who has the truth that protects all of them as well. And what they're doing and their front end officers. I've told everybody this repeatedly. I'm doing this for everybody because this acting has gone on far enough, long enough. Okay. And we've allowed ourselves to be foolishly, placing our trust somewhere in a place that has been clearly misplaced. So that's why this moment is of such an important time, and I'm able, God bless the Lord, to be able to give you this stuff in real time, what's going on at my end with these court cases. And it has been fast and furious these last 6 days. Let me tell you, it's been something. Not just with Michael, but there's other court cases that I've got that are all part of this thing as I calculately release them and show people what's going on. So I just wanted to touch on base. That's what happened with Sean. It's off with the judge right now. She's going to bring back a ruling Sean is already figuring, which I'm gathering, if it was so hostile towards their lawyers, that they will probably, obviously, if they get their verdict that does not go in their favor in the legal world, then the next step for them is they appeal it right away to the circuit court, right, or the district court, whatever the hell it is in their territory in LA. There, I don't know that world, but that's what ultimately happened, and then that'll be some more. I don't know how long that would take, how long that appeal process goes. It should be pretty serious, given it's about we the people versus Google. But at the end of the day, that's where that stands. What I would also like to tell everybody is, if you weren't aware of, is that my YouTube channel got taken down today. So all of my work is basically on BitChute, where the links were in the mailing for tonight. If you cannot find those links, just like I say, do a warrior calls. Maybe Paul can put it into the chat there for people, or we can put it up somewhere so that people have those links to remain connected with me. It's going to be a very smooth transition, because the software that I'm speaking on here tonight, it has a back end database as well that we'll be able to tie into. So you'll always get the updates. You'll even get a live feed as well. If I go live for whatever reason, if something really, really timely I've got to bring out at that moment, that's what I'll do. And those times are coming when we get near the near future here. So they can't take down my website. They can, that's under a lot of attacks too. I want people to know my web guy says it's getting hammered with stuff, but it's still going good. So please be patient on the website for those of you that aren't familiar with the warriorcalls.com, because all the videos that were uploaded to there originally that went to YouTube are now no longer showing up with the links on there, because they were linked to the YouTube channel. So the web guy's got to grab all the links from BitChute and pull them over. And Sean actually has incredible things that are going on at his end as well right now. It seemed to be that we're on attack at every single level at what's going on in this world. So that's why this truth right now is ever so important, because once this simple truth of the rules of civil procedure do not apply to we the people, okay, that's when the rubber hits the road, and that's when that courthouse is finally going to be accessed properly, and we're going to be able to start moving claims against people that we have the evidence of enormous wrong and harm that's occurring, and we've got that in spades. But unfortunately, everything's being played out now in the mainstream media and online, right? And who YouTube selects who they wish to perpetuate their continued narrative, so to speak. Well, when I heard that there was some sort of a glitch, I was working yesterday on other stuff for whatever court work, so I had no idea that the supposedly YouTube went down for a bit or whatever. So these are things that they start to do to test, to see how people react, right, to sort of set something up. Well, it went down before, and well, now it's just going to have to be a little bit longer. We've had a major, who knows, right? It's just a test to see how they're jarring the public, but it's ultimately that YouTube is an incredible pipeline for the truth. It still is. Okay, so they need to find a way to shut that down. Okay, YouTube can shut its pipeline down, but unless they shut the internet down, okay, which is going to be pretty serious things if we get to that level, okay, then we have still got to pipe to each other from a Warrior Calls, from Earth United, okay? You've got to subscribe to Jesse's channel as well there too, so we have you in our databases, because at either country, whenever something goes in, hopefully we've got some redundancy plans. The two of us are going to be able to kick in and continue the communications back and forth. But these are very, very dangerous times in our world right now, and my fellow man is simply sleepwalking right into it, okay? And that's why this truth is so important, how it's brought forward. It has to be brought powerfully forward, okay? I can do that. That resonates for me all the time when you're around me. You can sense and feel that this has consumed me, this truth, for a very long time. And that's what always radiates from me. But now this light is going out to this world, and it must find people that are also going to be repeaters of it. You've got to find a way to simply bring it forward. And a lot of people have learned a lot of information. I'm blessed from all the incredible comments you said about what I've tried to make things simple about the trespass that's happened at birth. But now we're at the stage right now that I've had to push even that stuff out of the way, because we need to make the conversation really simple for our fellow man. Okay. So people are writing to me saying, Chris, how can we communicate to people? That's what you say to them. Okay, you tell them that there's a man that's come forward that has incredible truth right now, and he's been denied access at a public courthouse, right? And all because of the rules of civil procedure. And you're not only writing on behalf of this truth, you're writing on behalf of all the people, right, in this country. When we lose access to our public courthouses, they're forcing people to get violent, right? I'm not advocating violence. Everybody sees that, everything in my heart. I'll go to the end of the earth, all right, to get into that courthouse and do it peacefully, right? They can beat me up, they can do whatever they got to do to me, but I will get through those doors, right? And hopefully not carried on a stretcher by people, but at the end of the day, I'm hoping that when that call goes out, the people are going to be there. You are going to respond, if not sooner than later, because that day is coming quicker than we all know it. Because their charade, this theater that's been presented in front of our world today, is falling apart. Okay, you may not seem to think it based on what you're seeing in the mainstream media, but they have to ramp up, okay, all of their theater, that there's more coronaviruses that are occurring, or COVID-19 or whatever. Who gives a rat's ass if there's more viruses, right? All you look at are the deaths, people, okay? People never died from a virus, so to speak. You have to understand where viruses come from. We've gone through this in the past prior shows, but you simply need to understand that we've been lied to. And that evidence is still and will always be on my website, on a BitChute, and also Brighteon. We're getting put up on Rumble. I'm going to get put up on in the very near future, and LBRY, which is another one. So I've got a blanket of all these various sites, and through the grace of God and all you guys out there sending the links and sharing them everywhere you can, that makes the difference. And when people subscribe to those various, some search engines aren't as good as others. But like I said, as long as you're up to our main sites, that's the main thing, because I will always put out a communication every week surrounding when this stream is going to go. So I'm planning on doing the Thursday nights pretty much, collectively from now on, religiously, and we're going to try and do 3 a week, where I'm going to actually do one session in the very near future, which is going to be a Q&A with everybody. I'll come on here. You can come on and post some questions at whatever it is, stuff I've talked about in the past or current situations, and I'll do my best to talk to everybody about that and have a real fluid conversation. But right now in the here and now, this is very powerful what's been going on at my end, because for those of you that aren't aware, I've got the, I wanted to also say too, before I talk about Michael, I had a wonderful call tonight with Dolores Cahill. For those of you who don't know who Dolores is, kindly look her up online while she's still there. As again, that's why I got pulled down, was because of Dolores. So I just wanted to kind of give her a little Irish rub, so to speak. For those of you who don't know, I also have Irish blood in me. I actually didn't know that till about 10 years ago. It didn't dawn on me, but like I said, that's just the way it goes. So when I learned that I had I'm from Irish descent, there's been this. That explains why I guess I have this real, how should we say? I can be very energetic. That's a good way to put it. But anyways, Dolores, I just love her like a sister. And she called me from Ireland this evening, and we had a wonderful talk. And she's fully 100%, behind, making this world a better place. And she's fully well aware of everything that's going on with Jesse and I. And like I said, I can't say everything right now, but we had an incredible conversation. She sends her love to everybody here in Canada and also around the world. And she's always telling me, keep going, keep doing what you're doing, because we need to bring this light forward. And this truth that we're talking about here with our courts being restored again, it's the common law, which it is, but it's secondary. And you just understand first, we don't put the cart before the horse, people. Okay, we have a foundational problem here. First, everybody's ignorant that's going on in our world. They don't understand what's going on in our public courthouses, and they don't know who they are and how to correct that situation with we're being blocked at the public courthouse. Now everybody simply understands, okay, because I've written to all these top people. All right, they have to produce those 3 answers to those 3 questions, and if they do not produce it, then they're denying us our right. They're obstructing justice, right? Never mind they're in massive malfeasance, for breach of their public trust. But that's why it has to go this part, and you'll see in all the communications that Michael and I have did, it's always honorable, and we never move from that square. We're always trying to move this forward. So the last communications that I wrote to them, it was to pull their bonds that I wrote about, and they've confirmed that they've received this communication now. We went back to the Chief Justices, one at the for Canada, which is the Service Corporation at the federal level, and then the Ontario Chief Justice, which is at the provincial level, Service Corporation. Remember, she's an agent of the Service Corporation of Ontario. Any way you slice it, because Bob or Susie there isn't going to come forward and claim that I or Michael are property. See how simple that works? And if they got that obligation there where we consented to these rules or service procedure, or to any of these other people that are providing services to us at our public courthouses, the most sacred buildings in our world, okay, they are. And they've been completely run amok with a bunch of rats known as bar members. The people are good, but how they've been entrained in their consciousness has been severely corrupted. And there are those that revel in loving this whole thing of the legal world and seeing the power that they wield because mankind is so ignorant. Well, as I've said to these people before, and I will say to them all again, the gig is up. Okay, we're bringing this truth forward honorably and powerfully. You've got to come to the table and recognize that this wrong and harm has been going on for far too long. You need to put your differences aside with what we're doing and allow this truth that I'm bringing forward and other people to come into our public courthouse in front of a jury of our peers, a grand jury, if not the world, and move that truth and claim forward and get a verdict on it. It's very simple and very powerful to do once you understand all the pieces to the puzzle. And when I say all the pieces of the puzzle, that's for in the here and now. I don't have all the puzzles for, I have still so much to learn. There's so much that I do not know and understand in this world. But what we're dealing with right now in the here and now in this world, you better believe I understand what's going on. You better believe I understand what the truth is. And you better believe that I understand what the solution is, because I've been demonstrating with every single breath, with every single action that I've taken. Okay, it's all well documented how and what we are doing right here in this time and moment to move this forward. So timing is really, really critical right now. And that's why I say next week, the end of next week, I believe it is, the trilogy is going to come out that we've been working on, Jesse and I. And again, this is it. Okay, this is like I said, I picked the fight last week, and now we're following through with it to bring this truth on a massive level. And I'm saying with everybody, all my heart, when you get this link and when you see this link, you've got to push this out to the world. You've got to push this out to every single man and woman that you know. You've got to find a way to get this very short video that's about to come out to get to the world, because we want to set everybody up for what's coming right after it. Okay. And that video that comes after it's going to be a monster with Judy. So like I said, all of this is timed at a perfectly incredible moment right now. I want everyone to be aware of also that Dolores Cahill has got an incredible event happening in Copenhagen near the end of this month. I think it's between November 20th and 23rd, I think. Don't quote me. Look it up online. Dolores Cahill, Copenhagen, some of her talks. But it's coming out there that they're bringing this panel forth, that they're telling the world that the whole COVID thing has been based on a lie. It's based on fraud. Okay. These are doctors that are standing with them. We have to find a way to get this vehicle to bring this truth out. And God bless her. This is how she's doing it in her realm. And so we're doing our thing at this end or whatever. And I'm very confident that by the time we get into December, we're going to have an incredible thing to share with everybody. Okay. As we move it forward, we're in this for the long game. Okay. You have to understand that with the Michael Sukleski court right now, where we're at with it, they recognize that it's there. All these justices have it, that we're at the communication stage now, that we're laying a very bright light on it, that the rules of civil procedure do not apply to we the people. That's what all of this is based on. That's what all these lawyers have been doing to try and kick it out. So you have to understand the simplicity of this. Now, if they go and take it, remove it out of the court, which I expect they're going to do, they're going to do it again, right? Everybody's now seen their eyes on this. Okay. And you say, well, where do we go next, Chris? Well, we don't let it go. That's where we go. Okay, we go back and we film, because eventually people are going to go back and they're going to see the case that happened to Michael, and they're going to be upset about that to begin with. And then they're going to see as it progresses, they're going to go, and then they're going to see now we've honorably gone after. See, it's about honor all the way along. People that are acting as police officers that are fully and finally awake in this country, that are going to actually truly protect the people and serve. And they're going to stand with us because they're going to understand how powerful this truth is that's about to be dropped in that courthouse, okay, before our world. So it's a very exciting time right now, people. And that's why I want you to know it's always about honor. Never lose hope, okay? Because when you understand the truth, the only reason that we're in this situation is that there's not more people that are awake like us, okay? That's the situation. But guess what? They've overplayed their hand, and we can feel this worldwide what's going on right now. So that's where the rubber has really hit the road. I'm showing everybody in real time what's going on with Michael. We're going to have an incredible call with Dolores in about 3 weeks. And then now what I want to actually bring to your attention is I just got a communication from this gentleman the other night. Excuse me. His name is Mak. I'll let Mac decide if he wants to divulge his last name or not. I asked for it last night once he contacted me, I think it was Wednesday or Tuesday this week. But when I got his email, I responded back to him that I can't see this. I got to step in here at this point because he's actually in court on this Monday, the 16th coming up. He lives in British Columbia. He'll tell you why we got to this point or whatever. But I want everyone to know that I've got to basically create paperwork for him tomorrow to get filed as quickly as possible. So I will have probably a pretty long night here tonight, but that's okay. It's worth it. Okay, because this is why I'm here. All right, it's called a warrior calls. I'm here to fight for everybody, but I do it with pen to paper. Okay, I'm showing everybody. I'm not going away. And the more and more people we're building in numbers now, right? People are emailing me all the time. Chris, there's millions of people that are with you. You might not hear them, but believe me, millions of people are with you, and I believe they are with the truth. Okay, they're not just with me; they are with the truth. First and foremost, I'm just the lug that's bringing it forward. Okay, but anyways, what happened was I got a communication from this man, and it's very serious. What's all going on based on what? The COVID Act, okay? Whatever the COVID, whatever act. This is these acts that all these service corporations created over the last few months, okay? So it's very exciting to understand when you understand the pieces to this puzzle that we've talked about in my prior shows, how you're able to apply this now in real time, okay, with this man that's before him. I was disappointed when I found out that, this happened a few weeks ago, and, he was on other shows or whatever talking about this. I wish I had have known, because I would have reached out to that man then, and I would have been able to do more work for him. I'm literally under the gun here, so to speak. I got one day because tomorrow's Friday, then it's the weekend. He's in court first thing Monday morning, so I don't have time to get, paperwork into the court before then. It's all got to get filed some way or somehow by tomorrow. So it's important that you understand that. So without further ado, what brought us here tonight, Mac, do you want to come on the screen here? Let me see if I can, there you are. Good to see you, Mac. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay, Christopher. I had a weird day physically, a little bit depleted energetically, but, so I'm a little bit anxious. Usually I'm okay being on camera and comfortable. So other than that, I'm excited to be talking to you again and telling everybody that hasn't heard of the story yet, what's happening with me.
Terrific. Well, for those of you that just know, this is Mac, And Mac reached out to me, and if you can, Mac, can you just walk through this basic scenario? I didn't give the background on you, but I'll just let people know is that this man has had this particular business for 11 years. It's in the background of yoga, health, obviously, all this incredible benefits that come to you through yoga. He's had a successful business for 11 years. 200 to 300 people are coming through his yoga classes a month. And, he had substantial financial, obligations that he committed himself to that he's still paying off, so to speak, to get this club running. So you need to understand that this is all this man's property, okay? This is this man's life work, okay? And now he's been completely destroyed, as you're going to hear, because of these COVID measures that have been lashed out that have destroyed his business. So walk people through the process, how this began for you in your yoga and then how you got to this point we're at today, Mac.
Okay, so I've been I got my first red pill way back 22 years ago. I won't get into the details, but over the years we pick up the different lies and don't understand the extent of how big the lies are. But about 2016 is when I really delved into what was happening, the media manipulation with all the psyops and these fake things that were happening, and then I got the globe lie. It hit me really hard. I didn't know where I was, but leading up to COVID, then I realized like Zika, Ebola, all these things, SARS, were just scare tactic and fake news and all that. Another more ways to control us. So when COVID hit, and we saw the images out of China, at first I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Is this a bioweapon? What is this? But as you settle down and you look at it with a critical eye, I realized this is just another Zika, SARS kind of nonsense. And I never thought it would get to the point it did. So, in February, March, the class numbers started dwindling. People just weren't coming into class. They wanted to cancel their memberships, etc. And then we had to make a decision here. I didn't know they had announced the emergency, state of emergency legislation. I don't follow the news really. Just around mid-March, the NBA closed, the NHL closed, the mountains here started closing, Whistler and all this kind of stuff. All the restaurants and stores started sending emails, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to close down because, we teach a healthy immune system, detoxify your body and lose weight and, drink more water and eat healthier and exercise. And I haven't been sick since I started hot yoga. And I used to get sick all the time, a couple of times a year. So I firmly believe in what I was doing and, what the business was. Like I said, it was a really nice studio. I built it at the cusp of yoga back in 2008, and it wound up turning from a $150,000 $200,000 build out, and it wound up being like $500,000 when it was said and done, because that's where I thought things were going. And there's ups and downs, and business has been kind of slow. But anyways, I made the decision that okay, we're having 4 classes a day. I got to cut the classes down to 2 classes. Just because we're getting like 10 people a class, and our room was built for like 70. So I sent out an email that basically said, hey guys, don't forget to come in and do yoga, build your immune system. Viruses don't do that well in heat, which is what I had studied from the scientific community. I hadn't learned that viruses are actually not contagious at that point. But I said, build your immune system, and we got to cut our classes down, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, until this. Maybe I shouldn't have used this word, but I said it because people knew me. People from the studio know that I'm like, outspoken. And I said, until this worldwide nonsense subsides. Well, that triggered a lot of people that were past students and, on our mailing list still, etc. Next thing, I go into class, I come out, the phone rings, somebody starts giving me grief, and I realized there was like 15 or something voicemails. I'm like, wow, what happened? Oh, and then the email inbox with replies, people calling me an idiot and all this, and you're a moron, and I can't believe you're not shutting down, you're greedy and all of this. We're just trying to survive, and I'm trying to do what I believe in, and all the testimonials that I've experienced, myself included. So next morning I go in, and then there's a message from there's more emails coming in on my phone, and there's tons of voicemails, just rude stuff, people being rude and pseudo death threats. And the CBC called, and I wound up doing an interview with him for about 20, 25 minutes. And then all of a sudden there was Global calling, News 1130, Vancouver Sun, all of this kind of stuff. But the Delta bylaw came in, that's the city where we're at. Delta bylaw comes in at about 11 o'clock. The class had just ended. And he said, we're getting a lot of complaints. I need to come down here and check if you're socially distancing. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, there's a emergency legislation. Everybody has to socially distance. I go, is that a law?
So hang on a sec, Max. So what you're talking there, it's an act, okay? That's what it's not. When you say the legislation, I want everyone to know what he's talking about is the Emergency Act, right? Or the Coronavirus Act or whatever, right? Or the New Health Emergency Act. There's always an act. So this is what you have to understand, that act is written by people at a service corporation, and they're trying to apply this to Mac. So carry on, Mac.
Yeah, so I didn't know this, and I said to him, like, is this a law? I didn't hear about it. Like, nobody told me. Like, he goes, oh, yeah, I got announced. And I go, okay, you know what? That's not a problem. We had like 12 people here. Look at my room. It's big. All the 12 people walking out told the bylaw officer that, oh, yeah, no, we were like 10 feet apart. It was fine, and the studio is really big. So he looked around, and he goes, well, how do I know you're going to follow social distancing? And I'm like, at this point, it just hit me. I wasn't expecting it. And I said, well, you could come back this evening. We have another class. He goes, well, I'm off at whatever time, 5 o'clock. I go, our class is at 6. I go, come back at tomorrow morning. We have a class at 10 o'clock. Come back and check out how we're doing. So I went to run off, and he says, okay, great. Looks like you're doing what you got to do. So I left, and my friend was hanging out at the studio. I went to help somebody do some work. I get a call like an hour or 2 hours later and saying, oh, Delta bylaw's back, and they have some paperwork. I had a sinking feeling in my stomach that something's gonna happen. They're gonna shut me down or something. So I went back there, and I met him and his supervisor, and she was kind of not as nice as this kid, and was basically like, your business license suspended by order of the mayor and Delta Council. I'm like, what are you talking about? This guy just came here, and I agreed. We're socially distancing, and he's gonna come back tomorrow and check our classes. Well, we don't have any proof you're gonna do it and all this. So again, I was blindsided, and so I just took that piece of paper, and now I had to digest what was going on. But at the same time, the phone's ringing, hate emails, people calling me like you're an idiot and hanging up and all this kind of stuff. And that afternoon, all the stuff started coming out in the internet, print media. It started coming out. All the articles about me started coming out. And I was like, wow, now the phone calls and emails went exponential. It wasn't just my emails that were passed around. And the CBC article didn't come out till the next day, but this was all kind of print media, and I had no idea what I was going to do, how I was going to survive. And I go, okay, well, everybody, NBA, NHL, all these guys are closing till the end of March. Maybe I can survive till the end of March while I try. And then I'm thinking, well, now I've got such a bad name in the community. Like, the press was like, it was amazing. There's like 8 or 9 articles that people were texting me and sending me. So I let it go. I go, wait out the 2 weeks and I'll see how it goes. And I go, but can I ever recover with this bad stigma in the community? So I'm factoring all of this in, and the landlord wants their rent, and end of April. I'm sitting at home. An article comes up on my phone from the Vancouver Sun, Tiffany Crawford, that the head of Royal Columbian Hospital that I live like right beside, that he's calling on Bonnie Henry and the health officials to do stricter lockdowns, because they're going to have to choose between life and death, who lives and who dies, and they don't want to be in that position. So I walk over to the hospital because I got nothing to do. My studio's closed, and I talk to a nurse in the parking lot. She tells me it's empty. I walk into the hospital. It's a ghost town. I go over to emergency. It's really slow. I mean, this hospital's by my house. I know it's a really busy hospital. I talked to a couple of people in emergency. They said, no, it's really slow. Or the nurse said, I think it's busy in emergency, but all the beds are empty. I go to emergency. He said, we're really slow, but in the hospital, I believe it's busy because that's where the COVID is. So I left. And 2 days later, or a day later, I go, okay, I'm going to go back to the hospital. Like, this is amping up. Now they're calling in the media lockdowns till June, July, August. And I go, what's going on here? What am I going to do? I walked to the hospital. This time I walked through several floors. I live streamed it. It's empty, Christopher. It's empty. There's nobody in there except the COVID unit had a couple of people in there. Like if you watch this video, which YouTube took down, it was empty. Then I drive to a testing site. It's empty. I drive through there. There's no cars. I ask them some questions and I drive through. And I visited about 4 other hospitals that day. I went to St. Paul, St. Joseph, Vancouver General. So went to a bunch of these hospitals, and it's the same story. I talked to a doctor at one place, doctor at actually 2 places. And anyways, somebody got triggered, sent that to the media. A big piece comes out on Global News. This was a TV piece. I'm getting, again, the hate emails and death threats, and all of this starts up again after 2 weeks later, just as it died down. People from across Canada are like sending me stuff. I mean, I got a few people saying, right on, buddy, we're with you, expose the lies. But it was like 20, 30 to 1. Now, here I am with my business. I got to figure out what I got to do. I can't pay the rent. They're saying we can't open until June. I don't know what I know right now, because right now I would have told them to do that. And, I would have kept going until I couldn't pay the bills. But I had to make a decision. I have a lot of stuff in my yoga studio. I live in a small condo here. So a lot of the yoga studio is 5 times bigger than my condo. So I was storing my hockey equipment and all this kind of stuff at the studio. We had our laundry we did there, Anyways, I had to make a decision. I had to pull everything out before the landlord locks the door and I lose all of that. So I lost the studio that way, and I found out subsequently, a month or 2 later, some opportunist went in there and signed the lease, and he's got the new space that I put $500,000 building out. Because I thought, okay, here's your key. I got my stuff. I'll come back in a few months and figure out if I can renegotiate a lease and continue my business, right? Once they lift these things. So that happened back in April, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on in the summer. I'm affected by all of this. And I'm going to rallies and protests and being vocal about it. And then the mask mandate starts, and it's just getting disgusting. The stores are getting us to stop the flow of oxygen. I'm seeing masks on kids. It's really disgusting me. Airlines, I got banned. I'm looking, do I need to relocate? And I flew up to Whitehorse because I had heard good things about it. I go, I'm going to check out this, and maybe I need to get out of the city, and I'm going to go up there. Well, Air Canada, all I did was question their mask policy and tell them I had medical reasons like panic attacks from wearing masks and not getting oxygen. Well, for challenging their policy right at the gate, I went through security. I mean, I didn't challenge it. For asking questions, I got right to the gate, and then they had another supervisor there, and they said, you're not going to fly with us today. Now, I got a good deal because I have family that works for Air Canada. I'm like, what are you talking about? I got to get on this flight. I have like Airbnb, etc. waiting there. Like, this is a week I took off. And they're like, no, you're not allowed to fly on Air Canada, and we'll refund your money. And I said, for what? He said, for not wearing a mask. And I said, I'm wearing one. I agreed to wear one, and I was going to deal with the doctor stuff later. I didn't know. You guys didn't tell me I needed a doctor's note. Anyways, they never gave back my money. They never responded to me. They never responded to me on the website until about a few weeks ago. They said, you're permanently banned from Air Canada. Oh yeah, he said, you're not wearing a mask. I said, I'm wearing a mask. I agreed with your other supervisor. And then he changed his tune to, well, you're challenging our mask policy. I go, how is that grounds for for getting barred on this flight? But he wouldn't, these guys don't answer questions. So my life is being affected by all of this, right? Then I had to go to another airline, and I had to pay 3 times as much to get on this flight.
Yep, I know, it's brutal. Let's drill back on obviously what this is about. So this happened. When did this trespass initially occur for you? Was it earlier this year? And
with studio?
Yeah,
that happened in March when they started shutting everything down, right? Mid-March, March 19th.
Okay, so when did you get the fines in that?
For right now, the quarantine?
The quarantine fines, correct.
Okay, yeah, so I was just getting to that. And then, so now, time's gone by. My subscribers from my YouTube channel wanted me to send me to a Flat Earth event, Flattoberfest, a few weeks ago. I wasn't going to go. I can't afford it, but they donated and wanted me to go. And I had the best time there. And I come back and I knew there was going to be like this 14-day quarantine thing, but I knew it didn't apply to me. It applied to a traveler. Traveler is defined as a person, and a person, as we know, is not a man or a woman. So they tried to get me to fill out a form, which I didn't fill out at first. But basically, I filled it out because they were pressuring me and kind of, the RCMP was standing off to the side, and I just wanted to get home. I had 3 flights that day, over 12 hours of flying to get back home from the East Coast of the U.S. So I signed it under all rights reserved, and I left. And then they said, well, we're going to check on people. I go, whatever, right? I kind of stood up to them at the airport a little bit. I go, this doesn't apply to me. I don't want to fill it out. Do you agree I'm a man? And she said, well, you're a man, but you've been traveling, so it applies to you. You got to quarantine for 14 days. Whatever. I left the airport. I went home. The next day, I went on with my business, went to meet a friend of mine because we're trying to work on paperwork to sue Air Canada for the trespass that they did to me back in August. Well, I got a call at 4:30 from my daughter who never calls me. And I'm like, I'm wondering, is everything okay? Like, she's home alone. And I go, hey, are you okay? She goes, the police are here. So the police coming by traumatized her, and she was afraid to come back, didn't want to be home alone because they took the phone and said, well, you're not at home. We're going to leave a ticket and we're going to be back tomorrow. I said, okay, whatever. Next day, I waited for them. This is the New Westminster Police, the city that I live in. So I waited for him right in the morning, 10 o'clock. Actually, an RCMP officer came by. I'm like, okay, are you handling this or is New West Police handling this? He's like, I just got told to come and check on you. I go, whatever. He was a nice guy, so I just said whatever, and he left. So that evening, 7:30, the same officer from New West Police, Officer Chong, came by, gave me another ticket, said, rip up your old ticket. Now I'm serving you. He goes, make sure you're home. We're going to be checking on you all the time. I go, whatever. You don't have jurisdiction. I said, what jurisdiction are you operating under? What's your name? Have I committed a crime? They don't answer questions. These cops, they're cowards. Sorry, Christopher, I'm not as nice as you are. And so he left. So that was Thursday by now. Friday, we had got our notice of liability done, Jason, my friend Jason and I. So I went to the police station to serve him with a notice of liability, and I was going to do a conditional acceptance on the fine. Well, I went by the police station. They because of COVID, they're not open. So I waited outside for an officer to come down. Nobody came down. I go, you know what? I'm not wasting my day here. I left it in the door and I left. And I said, I'm going to send him a registered mail one anyways. I didn't get around to that till Monday after the weekend. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was out doing my thing. I went to the protest here. I gave a speech about my experience. I'm outspoken, though. I did say, it's like toilet paper. This fine is pretty much like toilet paper. It's $1,150. And I guess there's a guy in my building who doesn't like me, and he's been calling the police and saying, get this guy, you got to arrest him, you got to fine him. So Monday I'm out all day. I sent the paperwork in by registered mail, and I come home at just after 11 p.m. I go to pull into the underground of the building, and I see a police car to the side, an SUV. I pull it, I open the gate, his lights go on, I drive into the underground. He comes running and goes, Mak Parhar, you're under... and I'm like, who the fuck are you? And he goes, Constable Hildebrand. And I'm like, he goes, you're under arrest. I go, what for? What crime? Of course, these guys don't never answer that question. I go, have I committed a crime? Is there a victim? But he said, you're under arrest. Get out of the car. I told him to F off. And I said, I'm going to park my car because I'm not going to let you tow it. I'm going to go park in my parking spot. Then you can arrest me. So he looks around. Where's your parking spot? I told him it's just down the way here. There's one exit. So he let me park my car. I got out. They grabbed me, put me in handcuffs, started reading me my rights. I kept asking them. I said, this is a false arrest. Is there a crime? Is there a victim? Blah, blah. They ignored me. They arrested me, took me to the jail, and cut my property, the drawstrings on my track pants, and wouldn't answer my questions. I declined to call a lawyer. I didn't want to get snagged in their system. I didn't understand I thought they're just arresting me to scare me. I'll be out in the morning. This is like a, bullshit statute, a driving offense. in my eyes. And I got thrown in jail. And at about 2 o'clock, one of the officers comes back in, and he's trying to get me to ID myself because they haven't ID'd me yet. And I didn't have any identification on me. It was in my car. And under duress, I mean, I'm all groggy. He kept asking me for my name. And I said, no, I don't want to give you my name right. And then finally, I just said, under duress, I'll provide my name and birthday, which they left out of their report. And and then the officer that gave me the first fine came in later that night or morning and gave me another $1,150 ticket. He goes, I'm going to leave it in your possession. I spent the day in jail. I didn't get my bail hearing till after 3 o'clock. I didn't know if I was going to get out. I go, I don't want to spend another day in jail here. Now I'm freaking out. Nobody knows where I am, Chris. They don't care that I could have had a small daughter. I could have been a single parent. I could have an elderly parent or relative I'm taking care of. I could have pets. They didn't care. They didn't ask for anything. So I'm like, nobody knows where I am. How am I going to get out of here? I start freaking out that I better call my lawyer because the duty counsel guy hasn't called me back. Well, I get my bail hearing. Crown, I try to challenge jurisdiction, but I wasn't prepared. I'm sleep deprived. It's cold in the cell. There's a loud event. I can't hear what they're saying. Crown comes out and says they want to detain me because I'm a risk to public health. I'm being flamboyant. I'm not socially distanced. I'm hugging people and I'm going out. I'm not wearing a mask anywhere. I'm going into stores and challenging their mask policy. Nowhere do they say that I have a medical note, which I do. They leave that part out to the judge. And then they want me detained. So now I get really scared. So I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to be in jail. I got to make a phone call. Ultimately, the judge settles for not releasing me on my own recognizance, but releasing me with a surety, not like keeping me in jail, but getting somebody else to be responsible that I'm going to follow the quarantine and his orders, release orders, with a bail. But I can't make the call. They don't let me make the phone call. I signed the papers. They tell me that I can phone from the jail. The judge says you're going to get transferred to a bigger jail. You can't be in the city police jail. I go, okay, but when I get to the jail, all of a sudden I'm a COVID death threat that I'm a potential carrier, and they segregate me. They won't let me use a phone. They don't let me shower. I'm in there for 4 days. I can't communicate with anybody. Nobody knows that I'm in there. Then media articles. So I think the same guy that has a grudge on me started calling the media, and then I didn't know. I mean, if you Google my name, Mak Parhar or Mak Parhar plus quarantine, you'll go 4 pages on articles right now with the amount of publicity this has gotten. And so my friends started looking for me. I thought I'm going to stay there over the weekend. I refused a COVID test in the beginning, but I'm like, oh my God, I don't think I can handle a weekend in segregation here. They told me you need to do the COVID test, a couple of days. It comes back. If you're negative, you can use the phone. So I even submitted to the COVID test, even though I know there's 50 to 90% false positives, just so I can use the phone by Saturday and get out on Monday. Because I had the bail. Somebody just needed to sign it, but I couldn't communicate to somebody. You know what I mean? And that's all it was. And I spent 4 days, 90 hours total in jail between the city jail and the pretrial jail in segregation. Luckily, I got out Friday before the end of the day. Now, those fines were from October 28th and October 30th. And then for not being home on October 31st, November 1st, and November 2nd, those they turned into 3 counts of violating the Quarantine Act. And that's what they're charging me with. And there's up to $750,000 fines and or 6 months in jail that I'm facing. So yeah. that's where I am. And that just happened last week, actually. So it wasn't a few weeks ago. And then I got out and I'm just, was so overwhelmed, obviously, being in jail and all of that. And then I go, okay, I got to figure out how I'm going to go about this. And I've been reaching out to people, and I apologize. I reached out to you late, and I'm so appreciative that you see some merit in this, and it's how important this one is.
Of course, it's not a matter of whether to me, right? You're another one of these angels, right? A guy who's tough, it's right in the moment, right here and now. This is what I'm bringing forth with everybody through my work that I've been doing. This is real time for this man that you're looking at here, okay? This is very important that everybody understand. You see how they're using, which I've been showing and sharing with everyone, how they're applying these acts, these codes, these statutes. They're trying to apply to people through all this theater. So I'm going to step in here and I'm going to do what I can to help protect this man, okay? And anyone that's in BC, if he's physically going down to this courthouse, you should join him if you can get in there. Because, I mean, we have to all start to come together. You have to stop and think for a second. Who has this man in before you here today? Has he caused any wrong or harm to another man or woman? No. Right? He's not in breach of any contract. These people that write the emergency acts or acting as healthcare ministers, the premier or whatever, or even the man acting as a judge, they don't have anything to do with this man. He's caused them no wrong or harm. So we need to simply understand that we got to address the jurisdiction, it's very difficult to try and challenge when you're in cuffs, you're in their jail. But now that you're out of it, and I do wish that we did have a little bit more time, but I think that's just the big guy upstairs saying to me, all right, Chris, you got tomorrow to basically get it to them and get her done. And I think we'll get it done quite well tomorrow. So everything is unique and how we do these filings. And we're going to share these filings with everybody. You're in court on Monday, and then hopefully we'll be talking to you Monday night again, if all goes well. And like I said, I expect that this will at least put a shot across their bow, metaphorically speaking, so that they understand that what is actually going on here. And this is why we have to bring this out into the light. The conversation that I've been talking about with everybody isn't just this kumbaya conversation, where it's all this wishy-washy. We're all going to get through this and we're all going to, this is real serious stuff. Look at this man. I take my hat off to you, brother, because, you've been completely destroyed. And I know what it's like to have your life's work taken from you, right? And then when you go to seek the justice of it, you actually see that these people that are supposed to be providing honorable services to you, the word honorable is right in their title. They're doing anything but being honorable with you. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put together this paperwork tonight for Mac. And we're going to get this stuff filed. We're going to go at the man who's acting as the justice. Okay, we're going to put him on notice tomorrow. A few of the other players that are involved in this, and I'm going to get him to file a claim. If we can get that into the courthouse, we'll see how that goes. But get a claim that way so that claim that he files tomorrow, all right, as I told him, he takes it out. Once he gets his copy, or if we can do it electronically filing, then we make a copy of that. And then you're going to place that file that he's just, the court he's just established, the Mak or the Parhar Court, then what you'll do is you'll decide which way you want to go with this. And then, like I said, we'll get it filed into the courthouse tomorrow, and then you're going to place that into their court file, right? It acts as a notice to them as well, because when the judge opens up his case file that they're moving against him right now, not against him, but against this fiction, all this acting legal world, now he's going to have a notice of appearance. All right, how this man's appearing in front of him, very short few sentences. He's going to have a notice of liability that lets him know, listen, Jack, if you try and administrate property without right, I'm just honorably telling you, any man or woman that does this, not that just in this courthouse, you're liable to me, right? And then you're going to basically drill down, and we're going to address he's going to see that, oh my God, this guy's going to file a claim against some very prominent people here, right? Now, how many people arrested you total?
2 cops were mainly arresting me, and 2 were assisting. One guy stood back, and another guy got more involved at the police station with my phone. So his name is on the police report. That 4th guy, I don't see his name anywhere. And there's a bunch of them, half a dozen or so, involved behind the scenes in the investigation. They were watching all my YouTube videos, writing down when I was out in public and when I was doing what.
So what they actually did within that corporation is they've conspired against this man, right? But what they've basically they're creating constructive fraud against this man, okay? Through their ignorance. I mean, these people are supposed to be good or whatever, but you've got 4 people now that have trespassed against them. Ultimately, it's the people that train them, that put them in that capacity. So you go and address the top man or woman of that organization. Now, as Mac knows, if we had a little bit more time here, a couple more weeks, then I could get some just notices, some decent communications out to these people to try and really bring this to the light before we have to go to court. The last thing you ever want to do is file a claim. You always want to try and settle things on the honorable side as best as you can, but this man's been dragged through the mud. Right? Enough is enough. This crap went down. So it's basically, I'm glad he's contacted me when he has. So we'll get this filed into the courthouse for you tomorrow. You're going to actually do the filing that, and I'll get the court papers work to you by tomorrow morning. And then we'll come back on this either Monday night or Tuesday at the latest, depending on how the weekend goes. But I would like to redo this with you again on Monday night. We'll do a quick follow-up, just how the court went in there today. I expect he's going to ignore everything you put in. He's not going to like it, but you just have to learn to stand your square, as I've told Mac, okay? That's the biggest problem. When people get in there, they want to talk because they're nervous, right? And they're threatening you. They're doing whatever. You just got to learn to stand on that square, and I'm going to talk to Mac about a few things that he can just simply say, to always, like I say, when you're standing there and your paperwork is filed into that courthouse, you don't have to say anything else. That's why you've honorably done that. You don't want to have any confusion on what are the words and what is being communicated or asked or responded to by me. That's how I approach it. So that's how it's going to come across from Mac and paper. He says, I'm honorably standing here. You have my paperwork, which we're going to confirm that they do have it. Once Bob or Susie confirms that they have it, that's wearing the black robe, then you just simply stand there and say, I have nothing further to say at this time, as noticed in my paperwork, which it's going to say on one of the notices, right? I have nothing further to say here in this court. So I take my hat off to you, Mac. I mean, this is incredibly traumatic for you, your family. It does, and even the whole thing, it's not just being locked up in jail for a few days. It's the whole thing that's come down on you. It's been ever increasing on your life, which was completely tranquil. It was a beautiful life. You were enjoying, sharing, building a business. And then all of this gets ripped away because of a lie. Right? We have the evidence. We all know that this is based on a lie. And that's why we have to move this conversation that we were having here tonight. It's got to be brought into a public courthouse. And the people have to see it with people under oath or affirmation. And that's when, right? That's when the truth really shines. Because if they don't have evidence counter to the truth that we all have surrounding what is going on here, surrounding this COVID-19. And again, the numbers that they're releasing don't lie. They're such small numbers. Like I said, it's none of this is no pandemic. It's all being done intentional. And you've been caught up in this, and they use you as a guinea pig so they can make an example of you. And that's what they're going to look to do. You can bet CBC is probably going to be there in the court on Monday, right? They're going to want to see what goes on here because they want to make you look as worse as possible. But you know damn well the second that if you were able to bring these people in to a correct court moving under common law, none of them have the right. Right? None of them have rights. They're acting for first and foremost. So they got duties and obligations, but none of them had the right to do what they did to you because they don't have an obligation with you or the service corporation. They're not going to claim your property. And we all know no man or woman can administrate property without right. That's how simple it is. And you know what would turn it around for Mac right now, or we wouldn't even care about this crap that's going down on Monday, is if the rules of civil procedure are out of the way. As soon as those rules of civil procedure are out of the way, Mac and every other man and woman in this country is going to have no problem moving our claims into these courthouses. And this is how a great man like this, who's taken the time to learn who he is, to start to understand the difference between legal and lawful, he understands this right and wrong, but now he's actually seeing the pathway forward, right? And I take my hat off to you, Mac, because you're very courageous to do this and stand up at this time, especially because it's so compounded with everything that's going on right now around our world. But as I said to Dolores Cahill, all of us have to stay on this train. We just have to stay on this train right to the end. We don't get off it. We stay right on it with this truth, right? And once that truth gets to that destination, which is the larger masses are aware of the rules of procedure, my friend, I'll be standing right beside you in Breezy. I'll fly right down there with you because I'll have to wonder if we're at masks or stuff then on the airplanes. But I'll be right there shoulder to shoulder with you going into the court on that day. But I got a little bit of cleanup work here to do in Ontario, but it doesn't mean I can't reach across the land, so to speak, to my fellow brother. And let him know that he's very much loved. And there's millions of people, I guarantee you, that will be feeling for you and understanding. And please say a prayer. Prayer is not a point of weakness. It's a point of strength, actually. Say a prayer for Mac here for this coming Monday, for his family, to put them at peace, to put them at ease, and let them know that they're not going to be alone through any of this. No matter what happens on Monday, we are going to stay the course with this, and we're going to continue forward. And remember, all of these people that are trespassing, at the end of the day, we have to learn to forgive them. But when you put the truth in front of them, as we're doing now, if they intentionally further compromise this man's rights and further terrorize him and cause him this enormous wrong and harm, then there has to be accountability. And that's where all this comes to play, right? And this is what's going to happen. So, like I said, is there any last words you want to talk about here, Mac, before we sign off?
No, I mean, it's not easy. When I was in jail there, I was thinking, why am I here? I've been, the last month or so, a lot of grace of God was looking over me. And then when I wound up in jail, I go, how are these guys waiting there? These thugs, these robots that just snatch me and throw me in jail. And what am I doing in here? And I can't make a phone call. Now I'm in here for day after day. And then the thought came to me that I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to go through this. I'm supposed to see how sick this world is, how depraved it is for any kind of humanity, the players that are involved here. And I didn't know what I would do when I got out. There would be highs and lows of I'm going to fight this full on to maybe I need to back down. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe this is kind of the lesson, like stop being so outspoken. But when I got out and I realized all the subscribers and my friends were actually looking for me, calling hospitals, calling jails, calling courthouses, and just making such an effort to find me, I'm like, okay, like you said, I have to jump on this. We got to keep this at the forefront because this is, an injustice to a lot of people. A lot of people just comply. I go out of town for 5 days and then I got to come back and jail myself for 2 weeks. That doesn't even make sense. I'm in jail. They're doing health checks on me, vital checks, blood pressure, etc., oxygen and temperature. And they're like, you're perfect. You're like, nothing wrong. Absolutely perfect. On the one hand, I'm absolutely perfectly healthy. On the other hand, you think I have a deadly contagious virus that's going to kill everybody in your prison. It's just, it's funny and just mind-boggling. But, and then I reached out. I talked to some great people. I talked to Amanda Holman. I talked to Cal Washington. And now I've talked to you and Mike Kavanaugh. And, you guys had success at this system, this beast. I haven't, I've been learning it, a slow drip over the last 5 years, but nothing really to stand up and do it. So I'm so blessed that you're willing to walk me through this and be the support and the community behind me that wants to see this through for everybody's freedoms, right? Just like my friend Michael, who you're helping out there in Ontario. And, I feel my family's calling me saying, why do you have to do it? Why do you care? Like, there's nobody else there. You're the one who's going to suffer. Your reputation. I didn't ask for it, Chris. I just want to skate and play hockey. Yep, I want to enjoy time. I just want to enjoy time with my family, my daughter and my friends. I didn't choose this. I don't want to be sitting here all day with a table full of paperwork and, having to fight this right now. But,
and that's the beauty of what we're doing, and this is why we have to lead by example here, right? Everything that we're doing is all pen to paper. It's all honorably put, but the words are powerful, what we're putting forward to these people. They do not like these because we are shining a very bright light in a very dark place that they've not wanted a light shined on before. And that light's only going to get bigger and brighter, and this is how it happens, okay? We're leading by example here in how we're caring and acting in ourselves. They cannot attack us as nut jobs because they attack the paperwork, right? If what we're claiming is not true on these papers that get filed, then obviously we're nut jobs or whatever. That's fine. But the fact of the matter is everybody now simply understands the power of this paperwork that's going in on the weekend on Saturday, hopefully. So I just want to thank you for being here tonight, Mac. It was a real pleasure, and I want the people to know that's why this is so important. And Justice St. Christie, I mean, I hope everyone picked up on there. He's a friend of Michael Sukleski's, right? When I knew that, I didn't know that when I read your email. I had no idea. And you didn't mention that in the first email communication. I don't believe you did to me. You gave me the whole story it was going. You might have said it at the end or something. But at the end of the day, it was like, this is too coincidental, for all of this to be happening. Not just like I'm going through Mike's roster of all these people that have problems or something, but the fact that you have the background with the CBC and that it was actually the foundation of how long ago this began and then getting up to this point, it's perfect timing. And that's why I want people to understand is that I can't take on any new cases, but in this particular case, because the man is in court on Monday, we've got to get some paperwork in. I can write something quickly to show people at least this is a good way at how I can show people right now when they see what we do. This is what you can do if you're in these similar situations right now. But the conversation's got to come out in this courthouse that this man who's wearing the robe, that he has no jurisdiction control over this man before you're here this evening. If he's an honorable man wearing the robe, he has to recognize that. He's not going to want to recognize that because the court that it's moving under is a legal proceeding and they can't hear anything else outside of it. That's why we put things to them in writing. And that's why Mac will say very few words possible when he's in there. He'll always say, my honorable communication is before this court today. I have nothing further to say at this time. And let your paper stand. You can say to them, if there's something you don't understand, I'm more than happy to respond in 48 hours. But I do not wish to have any, confusion with what I'm communicating. That is why I've placed everything honorably before you here today, sir. You can call him the Honorable Justice, whatever. I like to call him Bob or Susie, whatever their first name is. But at the end of the day, that's what it ultimately boils down to, okay? You're challenging jurisdiction like, look, Bob or Susie, you cannot proceed any further in this court case right now because this man's honorably put in front of you. What is the jurisdiction of this court that's moving right now? Who's got a verified claim in this court that I've caused wrong or harm? There is no man or woman. Well, what's going on here? There's people that work for a service corporation that say that I owe some sort of a debt. Well, bring forward the man or woman. When you look at who's actually moving this court against them, it's going to be the municipality or the township, whatever it is. That's probably who's going to be moving this case against them. It might be at the Attorney General's office on behalf of the larger service corporation at the provincial level, but most likely for these infractions and stuff that are going on, if they're playing the act, it depends how they flip the coin, right? How much of an example they would like to make you of, so to speak. But just know that it's all theater. Okay, and that's why I say to everybody, I'm leading by example with the Sukleski claim here. If they throw it out of the court, which this is what they want to do with all their heart, because this conversation cannot come forward in truth that the rules of civil procedure don't apply to the people, because all of a sudden the bar is destroyed. Okay, we didn't create this problem, you and I, Mac. We were born into this system, and it's our time to come forward, men and women, to stand up and address it powerfully. And this is how we do it, right? This is how we do it. So anyways, oh, sorry, my connection says, seems to be at the moment, so you're audio only. Okay, we've gone to audio only. Well, you're probably tired of looking at me anyways. Anyways, Mac.
I was just going to say the other synchronicity. I don't know if you got my email. My friend in Ottawa is friends with Randy Hillier's daughter and knows him as well, and I told him to make sure he gets in contact with you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's great. I really appreciate that. And I will be talking to Randy hopefully in the very near future. Like I said, everything is timed for a reason. There's an awful lot that's going on at my end right now and coordinating. And it's everything. I've just never seen so much around me being attacked. Okay, even like on the court claims, the other stuff that I'm working at right now, the evil is out in this world like never before. It's having a field day. Okay, with the consciousness of mankind, because my fellow man and woman, they just simply don't understand. Still not letting me do this back up here.
Yeah, I'll let you go. I was just going to say, are you going to get in touch with me later just to make sure that everything I submitted to you is going to have you prepped for the night?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you a call right after this shortly. We'll end this in a couple of minutes here. And, but I did want to thank you for coming on here, Mac, and we'll put it down for Monday night for you to follow up with me again, same time, 8:00. And we'll see where this went in court. They're not going to like the paperwork that goes in. But as I said, you don't have any standing in any courts unless you've got your own claim in court that's moving, right? So at least when you walk into this court, hopefully on Monday, you will have been successful tomorrow to get your claim filed. And then that way you can place that in their court case. And then basically we go from there, right? We take one step at a time. But this should at least put everybody on notice that, hey, we're going to have this conversation whether you like it or not. It's out in the open here. This has to stop against the people, okay? And we're not just sitting here saying you got to stop doing it. We're showing exactly how they've been doing it and what they've been getting away with through their ignorance, and they have to stop because they have to answer those 3 questions, obviously, right? And then we get those rules of civil procedure out of the way, and then it's going to be a beautiful world, Max. So with all my heart, thank you very much. Love you, brother, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Thank you. I appreciate you and love you too, Chris.
Great.
Bye.
Take care. So that was a wonderful conversation with Mac tonight, and I thank everybody for being here for this. So this is what's before us right now. I've got some other things that are happening in real time that I'm also going to bring forward, but again, I've just got to wait a couple more weeks here as it works its way out through the system, so to speak. But there is a lot of stuff that's going on right now. There's a lot of communication. There's a lot of cohesiveness that's going on. And like I said, I was so happy to get a call today from Dolores. I just love her to death. She's an incredible woman, incredibly courageous, incredibly brilliant, incredibly smart, she's just an incredible gift to this world right now. And that's what I'm saying. These lights, I didn't know Dolores from Sunday until, maybe 3 weeks ago or whatever, when we first communicated. And now look at it today, we're all coming together. And that's why this truth is resonating, that's moving through this world with the common law. People are starting to understand now that the common law was something that they've never been told about. And then, of course, they're going down little rabbit holes here and there, but hopefully they'll eventually make it to my site. They'll make it to some of these live streams, and hopefully they'll get a chance to talk to all of you at some point, or through an email, communication, or text, to simply understand, what is going on here, and that we simply just have to drill down on that public courthouse collectively, and we're going to turn this world around big time. And this is where the fight begins, right? The enemy is the bar. It always has been the bar. And these people, as we always approach it from, as my communications will see, as you see that go out tomorrow, are honorable. But I always state that, listen, we've all been lied to here. What all that matters is that when we're presented with the truth, whether we like it or not, some people don't want to face the truth. A lot of people of the society we don't belong to, the bar, they're definitely in that category. So what we want to do here is we want to make sure that we're always showing, because I know the world's going to see this. The world's starting to see this now. And just so you know, from a numbers perspective, I can't tell you everything that's going on, but Dolores Cahill, her last communication that went out on Monday, that was actually surrounding masks, that they've proven now that it can cause brain damage, etc. And they were taking the Deutsche Bank to task or whatever. But it started out with a $13 million. It went $13 million. 13 million people. It went viral. And then she just told me tonight, she says it was much larger than that. It got around to almost 1 billion people around the world. Okay. And that's not hard to do when you understand the scale and the capacity of this infrastructure network that's out there today. That is why it's a double-edged sword for the system. That is why these very platforms, the vehicles that people have been using to communicate and share this truth with, okay, they're being shut down. YouTube's, Facebook, okay? So now's the time. You have to start to see that's a tell. Okay, when they're taking down all these YouTubes, that means something is coming. They're pushing for something very, very horrific to happen in this world. Okay, they're not doing that to protect you. They're doing it to protect themselves from the truth. And you've got to wake up. You got to start waking people up out there. Okay, they've got to get involved in what's going on. They got to understand what's going on. You don't have to go down all these rabbit holes. Like I say, just tell them that there is a powerful truth that's coming forward right now of a lie that was told to all of us, about 10 months ago, actually almost a year ago. My God, where's the year gone? Right when this whole thing began. And now we have the evidence, the very records from the CDC and the WHO. Remember, the WHO, that's why YouTube shut me down, as they always refer to, because it didn't fall under whatever what the WHO or the CDC were saying and reporting. Well, the WHO is the World Health Organization. It is a service corporation that we, the people in the world, didn't create. A bunch of very rich people that are in control of a very higher up system created the World Health Organization. That's why they give it those names, so it matches like the Federal Reserve, right, in the United States, to my brothers and sisters to the south. See how they're tricking everybody and they play everybody? And then, of course, the media just repeats it and they hammer it home. Well, the WHO is the World Health Organization. We have to trust them. They're a service corporation. They're just a corporation that's in the pharmaceutical business, right, for vaccines, same as the CDC. CDC is a service corporation that's in the vaccine industry. So we're taking all these dictations through the media from the very people that are going to profit wildly. Because why wouldn't you want everyone vaccinated in this world? Forget what God created. Oh, we need these vaccines in everybody so that we can really rape home the profits, right? Because everyone starts getting sick, right? People, if not dying, well, we need more drugs. We've encountered more problems, right? Well, everything was fine a long time ago. As far as I'm concerned, our Creator created a system and a body that is absolutely incredible. If we were so smart, why has no one in this world replicated a body like this in all its capacity? Right, that could bring something to life such as this, right? And I don't mean artificial insemination. I'm talking real life stuff, I mean, actually understanding from seed to the tree, so to speak. And we live in an incredible time right now in this world. And I believe all of us were put on this world, all saying, ending it here, that we were put in this world at this time for this reason. There is no, by coincidence, again, why you're here this evening. There's no coincidence why this truth is starting to resonate and perpetuate out into the world right now. This truth time has come. It's a light that's going to get brighter and brighter as we move forward. So please, again, go to Jesse Casanova's. If you can't find it, he should be on Earth United, but watch his red pill that he's put up there. It's an incredible, beautiful, little over 11-minute piece that he's done. Love him to death for what he's doing right now. And his application needs a little bit more time to come up. He had some problems with some of the developers that he'd used in South Africa. And at the last minute, let's just say they caused some problems for him, which he was really devastated because he's made this commitment to the world to bring this forward on the 6th. And I told him, hey, Jesse, I said, you're talking to a guy that's got a PhD in failure. And I said, don't fluff it. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal, brother. I said, the universe makes things happen when they're supposed to happen. And whether we like things or not when they happen, at the end of the day, there's always a reason at the end of the day. So, and it shows itself eventually in time. And that's something that I've learned, being able to look back in my life. It's been, repeatedly reconfirmed to me that why certain things happen at a particular time, they happen for a very important reason. And that's why I'm here today. So, with all my love, thank you very much for everybody for being here this evening. And I'm sorry I don't have a little bit of Sly in the Family Stone to walk you out, but it's been great being here with you, and it gives me great comfort to be able to speak with you when I can come on here and bring these people like this forward, because there's millions of people like this man that are all suffering and going through these problems right now. So we can't solve millions of people's cases at once, like I can't do it. But if we take care of one man's case and one man's truth as well with the Sukleski Court, then between these two cases or the other work that I've done here, it's a very simple and powerful transition to make this vehicle, this communication, this communication that we've never had, with our fellow man, finally come forward into the light. And it's a really great time in our world right now. So stay hopeful, stay strong. Don't let all this fear and loathing that's out there occurring against you. Stand above it and look to your fellow man and woman and realize that we have to bring this truth forward. And it begins at that public courthouse. And it's all about the rules of civil procedure. And from there, once they see that, then they will see the truth brought in, under oath or affirmation. And then there's no more opinions that's existing outside of that courtroom. Okay, everything's been evidenced. The world knows what's gone on, and then we can start to heal and finally correct and turn this all around. Because without all of us working in conjunction with this, remember, there's 37 million people, I think, in Canada. There's 350 some million people, I believe, in the United States. Okay, add up how many people are in law enforcement in each of those countries. It pales by comparison to the people. So we, the people, have to rise up, and we have to lead them forward, because we need them to be on the front lines for this action. They need to take this criminality down. They need to see we're not standing against them. Right? And we're not against people that actually act as lawyers in this world, But when you're given this truth and you understand that you've been lied to, again, a double lie, that's when you got to step up and say enough is enough. And this is how we do it. Okay, so I'm just one man here, right? You don't see me fearful of this bar. You don't see me fearful of any man or woman wearing a coat or a robe. I'm not fearful of any man or woman, no matter what they're acting in any capacity in this world. Okay, and that's how you have to understand that they're my fellow man and woman. When I understand the role that they're acting in, why should I feel threatened by them? Okay, can they do threatening acts to me? Of course they can. Can they trespass against me? Well, they've got all this power and stuff around them. Absolutely can. But that doesn't mean I have to leave my square, so to speak, when I'm honorably communicating in this capacity for court. That's why I'm a very difficult, banana for these people, because everything that I speak to is all about love. It's about honor. It's about bringing the truth properly and as required into this world, and everyone seeing the transition, the process moving forward. It's all transparent in the light. People can see that, yes, what this man is stating is true. They're not responding to the rules of civil procedure. Somebody better, because we're not property. It goes back to those words on a piece of paper. So that's why it's so powerful, and that's why you being here this evening and moving forward in the future, I guarantee you, Mac and Michael, and there's millions of people out there in this world that are listening to these truths and starting to see that this light is going to poke through. And the police are going to be standing side by side with us. They're really slow as hell here in Canada. I don't know if it's all the maple syrup they're eating in the morning or whatever with their, but at the end of the day, we've got to find a way to break through this. It's a communication barrier that we have here, and we've really got to come face to face. Because I just don't get it. Or right now, I got to tell you, from my several years in the courts, there's some guys I've met in these courthouses that are acting in their roles as police officer. Man, they're great guys. They've actually come up to you, they start talking. When they see that they hear you talking in the court, they approach you outside in the hall afterwards and they say, I was looking at some of this stuff. I got this taxation problem. And it's just funny that happens outside the courtroom, but unfortunately there's too many within their brethren, their brothers and sisters that are just simply ignorant of this truth. And we've got to find a way to break down those barriers honorably and get the communication to them. If we all came and sat together at a table for one day, if we could actually get the top people that were honorable and we all sat at a table together and we looked at each other, this truth would get brought out into the light and we would all see the solution moving forward. Everybody would know how to go back within their own acting roles and be able to go through these tentacles throughout the system and take down this corruption very simply and very powerfully. That's why this is so important. But guess what? We can't get to that part until we get the rules of civil procedure addressed and out of the way. It has nothing to do with law and legal, as we said. It's that one question. So stand with me, stand with your world. That message is universal to the world right now, okay? That one question applies to every courthouse in this world. All right, they're applying the rules of civil procedure to us, and that's what is allowing them to allow this theater to go way past where it was ever supposed to go and blocking us from getting access to making a real difference in this world. So have a wonderful evening, everybody, and I look forward to being with you next week. And God bless and Godspeed.